Hey Vikings Nation, how are we feeling today? If you thought the Minnesota Vikings quarterback rumors were slowing down, think again. Because right now, a name that keeps getting louder in the Minnesota Vikings news cycle is none other than Kyler Murray. And let me tell you something. The dots connecting Murray to Minnesota are starting to stack up in a very interesting way. Over the past few days, reports have started to surface suggesting that there might be serious internal support inside the Vikings organization for the idea of bringing Kyler Murray to Minnesota. That's not just fan speculation anymore. This conversation is starting to come from people who actually cover the team closely. So today we're going to break down everything Vikings fans need to know. Why the rumors are heating up, what insiders are saying, how Murray would fit in Kevin O'Connell's offense, and most importantly, whether this move could actually happen. Because if even half of these dots connect, Vikings fans might be witnessing the beginning of one of the most fascinating quarterback storylines of this offseason. Let's start with the report that really set the Vikings fanbase on fire. According to Vikings beat reporter Alec Lewis, there is reportedly immense internal support inside the organization for Kyler Murray. And when a phrase like that comes out of someone who covers the team daily, it immediately gets attention. Lewis explained on his podcast that multiple people within the Vikings organization appreciate what Murray has done in the NFL so far. That includes not only members of the front office but potentially even some players in the locker room who respect Murray's talent and playmaking ability. Now think about that for a moment, Vikings fans. When players inside a team already respect a quarterback before he even arrives, that can make a huge difference. Locker room chemistry matters in the NFL, and if Murray already has supporters inside the building at TCO Performance Center, that could make Minnesota a very appealing destination. But the rumor really gets interesting when you start connecting the dots that people around the league are talking about. The first big piece of this puzzle involves Murray's current situation with Arizona. Reports indicate that the Cardinals could move on from him, which would completely change the quarterback market overnight. If Murray becomes available, suddenly several teams around the league will start evaluating whether he fits their future plans. And according to multiple rumors circulating in NFL circles, the Minnesota Vikings are already one of the teams being mentioned as a potential landing spot. The second dot in this story is financial flexibility. If Murray were released, a team like Minnesota could potentially sign him for a relatively low-cost deal compared to the massive contract he previously carried. That type of situation makes him far less risky than people might think. For a team like the Vikings, who are always balancing the salary cap while trying to stay competitive, a quarterback with Murray's talent at a reduced price would suddenly become a very intriguing option. That's exactly why these rumors are gaining traction among analysts and insiders. The third dot might be one of the most interesting ones for Vikings fans. According to reports floating around NFL media, many of the top available quarterbacks view Minnesota as one of the most attractive destinations in the entire league. And honestly, can you blame them? The Vikings have one of the most quarterback-friendly offensive systems in the NFL under Kevin O'Connell. The coaching staff has already proven they can revive careers and maximize quarterback production. Just look at how the Vikings offense has supported quarterbacks in recent seasons. When you combine that system with elite weapons like Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison, suddenly Minnesota looks like a place where a quarterback can thrive. Now here's a fun detail that Vikings fans might love. There are claims that Kyler Murray actually grew up as a Vikings fan. If that turns out to be true, it adds another fascinating layer to this entire rumor. We've seen situations before where players end up signing with teams they grew up watching. It doesn't always determine a decision, but it can definitely influence where a player feels comfortable going. Imagine that storyline for a second. A quarterback who once rooted for the Vikings as a kid potentially getting the opportunity to lead the franchise one day. That's the kind of narrative that gets fans excited very quickly. But let's talk football for a moment because talent is where Murray really stands out. Over 7 NFL seasons, he has completed roughly 68% of his passes. That level of accuracy is not something you ignore. Even more importantly, Murray brings something to the table that the Vikings offense hasn't consistently had in recent years: elite mobility. His ability to escape pressure, extend plays, and create opportunities outside the pocket could add a completely different dimension to the Minnesota offense. In today's NFL, quarterbacks who can move and improvise are becoming increasingly valuable. And when a quarterback with Murray's athletic ability is paired with elite receivers, things can get very dangerous for opposing defenses. Now imagine Kyler Murray throwing to Justin Jefferson. That's already a nightmare scenario for defensive coordinators. Jefferson is widely considered one of the best wide receivers in the entire league. Then you add Jordan Addison on the other side of the field, creating separation and stretching defenses vertically. Suddenly Murray would be surrounded by one of the most explosive receiver duos in the NFL. We've actually seen Murray thrive in situations like this before. Back in Arizona, one of his best stretches came when he was throwing to DeAndre Hopkins. Their chemistry created some truly explosive moments. If Murray could recreate that type of connection with Justin Jefferson, Vikings fans might witness a very dangerous offensive attack. Kevin O'Connell's play design combined with Murray's improvisation skills could produce some incredible highlights. Of course, not everything about this potential move is simple. One of the biggest questions analysts have raised is how Murray would fit into O'Connell's offensive system. The Vikings' offense traditionally uses more under-center formations. Murray, on the other hand, has played a large portion of his career operating from the shotgun. That means there would likely need to be adjustments from both the quarterback and the coaching staff to make everything work smoothly. But the NFL is constantly evolving, and great coaches adapt to their players. If O'Connell believes Murray can elevate the offense, it's entirely possible the system could evolve to maximize Murray's strengths. Now here's another factor Vikings fans should keep in mind. The Minnesota Vikings still have young quarterback J.J. McCarthy developing within the organization. That means the team's long-term plans at quarterback are still unfolding. If Murray were to arrive in Minnesota, it could potentially create a quarterback competition or even a temporary bridge situation while McCarthy continues to develop. And that type of competition sometimes brings out the best in everyone. Remember what happened when Sam Darnold revived his career in a quarterback-friendly environment. The Vikings system has already shown it can give talented quarterbacks a second chance to shine. However, there's another name floating around the Vikings rumor mill that could complicate everything: Aaron Rodgers. If Rodgers somehow enters the conversation and the Vikings decide they want a veteran mentor for McCarthy, that could shift the entire strategy. In that scenario, the Vikings might prefer a short-term plan where McCarthy learns under Rodgers for a year before eventually taking over the starting job. And if that happens, Murray might end up choosing another team instead. And speaking of other teams, the Vikings are not the only potential destination being mentioned for Kyler Murray. Rumors have connected him to several franchises across the league. Teams like the Jets, Dolphins, Falcons, Steelers, and Rams have all been mentioned in speculation surrounding Murray's future. But not all of those situations would necessarily offer him the best chance to succeed. Some teams already have established starters, while others might not offer the same offensive support that Minnesota could provide. That's why many analysts believe the Vikings remain one of the most logical destinations if Murray becomes available. So Vikings fans, here's the big question I want to ask you. If Kyler Murray actually becomes available this offseason, do you want the Minnesota Vikings to go after him? Do you think Murray could thrive in Kevin O'Connell's offense with weapons like Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison? Or would you rather see the Vikings focus completely on developing J.J. McCarthy as the future of the franchise? Drop your thoughts in the comments because I want to hear from the real Vikings nation. These Minnesota Vikings news rumors are heating up fast, and your opinion absolutely matters in this conversation. And of course, if you love staying up to date with the latest Minnesota Vikings news, rumors, and analysis, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and share this video with other Vikings fans. Because trust me, if anything big happens with Kyler Murray and the Minnesota Vikings, you're going to hear it here first. Skull, purple circle, yellow circle, fire.